All right. Good Monday morning, everybody. This is the Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. And last night, Bound for Glory pay-per-view presented by TNA Impact Wrestling. Their biggest pay-per-view of the year was nothing more than like one of their TV free previews. I was actually really disappointed in this Bound for Glory because I've seen so many great ones in the past, and I had great high expectations for this pay-per-view. And I'm not saying, overall it was a horrible pay-per-view, but for Bound for Glory, um, they should have stepped it up, and they had the opportunity to step it up, and they just went in the wrong direction. Um, yeah, I I was definitely let down for this pay-per-view for the last 2 months. That Impact Wrestling has been really, really good. It's really built up pretty good, and it's they've had some great shows, and I expected nothing less than that, and just a notch above that in any way. One of the things that really, really threw me off, and I do agree with, you know, you got to get some of the younger wrestlers on the map, but it also depends on who they are. And we had the pre-show match where you had Chavo and Hernandez, Parks and Eric Young, um, Robbie E and Jesse Goddard's, Kazarian and Daniels, and this match was the winner of this match would have the right to go up against James Storm and Gunner, the World Tag Team title holders in TNA. And I had a funny feeling, and I said this in my predictions video that the Bromans would probably win, Robbie E and Jesse Goddard's. And now, personally, I can't stand either one of these guys. I don't like the gimmick. I despise Robbie E. Um, I, to me, he's just more of trying to get himself on TV. He's got some sort of skills, but anyway, they ended up winning this match, and they had the right to face Storm and Gunner for the tag team titles, which we'll get to that match right now. Who would think? Now, the Bromans also had Mr. Olympia with them, and who cares really? I mean, I personally didn't care, but you know, we've seen Gunner and the type of wrestler he is, and we all know about James Storm. Now, there was no way in my mind that Goddard's and Robbie E should have ended up winning this match. No way in hell. And they did end up becoming the new TNA Tag Team Champions, and the crowd were totally stunned, just as I was. I mean, I basically it didn't really surprise me, but I didn't want it to happen. Uh, I wanted Kazarian and Daniels to be there, and I wanted them to get the tag team titles because those are the two guys that we see a lot more of, and those are the two guys that are very entertaining when they're in the ring. And they also have great in-ring skills. So if anybody deserved it, it was Daniels and Kazarian, but it wasn't to be. We also saw the Knockouts Championship match, and I knew Lady Tapa was going to be involved in this in some capacity. ODB, the champion, uh, versus Brooke Tessmacher versus Gail Kim. And believe me, I've said this before in the past. Um, it was time for Gail Kim to get that Knockouts Championship back. Um, and why not have it where she got help from Lady Tapa? Um, ODB is a good wrestler, but for some reason, when she just doesn't hold on to anything very long. And Gail Kim is one of those knockouts that is a good looking woman and also has a lot of good wrestling skills in the ring. And actually, out of the three of them, you know, Gail Kim was the appropriate one to win Brooke Tessmacher really don't have any in-ring skills. She's just a good-looking lady, and right about now I just can't stand her anyway. But anyway, so Gail Kim becomes the new knockout champion. The Ultimate X Division match for the X Division title. Also, to me, you had five guys in there. You had Samoa Joe, you had Manic, you had Chris Sabin, you had Austin Aries, and you had Jeff Hardy. You couldn't have gotten any five better guys for this Ultimate X match. And to me, this was like totally G-rated for a match. I mean, they really didn't do much of anything, and I was very, very disappointed in this. This was one of the matches I was really looking forward to, and to me, it really didn't deliver. And then of course Chris Sabin uses Velvet Sky as a distraction to end up becoming the new X Division champion. What, for the sixth or seventh time? Uh, to me, it just really didn't make any sense. Um, and from this point, you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, it's going to get better, because this was the opening match. It's going to get better. But then, of course, the tag team titles change, which it started getting worse. And then Gail Kim ends up winning the Knockouts Championship. And then we also saw uh, last night Ethan Carter go up against Norm Furman, PWG guy. A match just to get Ethan Carter on the card. This is another thing that sort of like upset me was they built up for this guy, Ethan Carter. Where was Kenny King? Kenny King is a fine, young, talented wrestler. He's been on Impact Wrestling. He shows what he can do. He beat RVD when RVD was there. He had some good matches with Austin Aries. Where was he? And he wasn't even there. That's another disappointment I had in the Bound for Glory pay-per-view last night. The induction of Kurt Angle into the Hall of Fame, which was a bit of a swerve, but Kurt Angle, I think, wants out of TNA. He's trying to get back into the WWE. Now, whether the WWE will take him or not, I don't know. And I think that things had changed because Dixie Carter and management know that Kurt Angle's he wants out, and if he does leave, then they figure, well, what's the sense of him going into the TNA Hall of Fame? And I think that's probably why they might have changed their minds on things, because otherwise it really wouldn't make any sense. And Kurt Angle saying that he'll join it or be inducted when he feels he's more deserving. Kurt Angle's got an ego bigger than anybody else, so I mean, it just didn't really make any sense. But anyway, it is what it is. We had the match with Angle and Bobby Roode, and if he did go into the Hall of Fame, by no means would he have lost that match with Bobby Roode last night. It was an okay match, but with him not going into the Hall of Fame, you sort of knew that Bobby Roode was going to come out on top, because they are very high on Bobby Roode. But again, a pretty good match, I guess. It could, but at this point, I was just like so disappointed thus far in the pay-per-view. But whatever happened, happened. So, but anyway, Magnus and Sting, which was another match I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to seeing Magnus turn heel in this match. I did think he was going to beat Sting. He did beat Sting. Sting tapped out. I was sort of surprised that he did tap out. I was sort of surprised that's the way that Sting took the loss. But I guess it's a way to make Magnus look a little stronger. But he didn't turn heel, but Sting tried to really like congratulate him and stuff at the end. But Magnus sort of really didn't want to have any part of it. So maybe this is the beginning of a heel turn for Magnus. We'll just have to wait and see. And that leads us to the main event. Bully Ray, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, going up against AJ Styles. I guess for most people, they would feel this was a predictable outcome, but it was a no DQ stipulation. And we did see Nux, and we did see Garrett Bischoff who did help Bully Ray by giving him a hammer in the beginning of the match. And I really thought that they possibly were going to turn on Bully Ray and would help AJ win. I thought maybe we'd see Ken Anderson get involved. There's rumors about him being around. That wasn't to be. But I have to say that, at least this match to me really delivered. I really enjoyed this match. I mean, Bully Ray and AJ Styles gave it their all. I mean, we saw at one point where AJ did a leap off the top ring ropes going after Bully Ray, and he landed onto the table and destroyed the table. And I mean, it's a wonder he didn't destroy himself with that, the way he crashed into that table. They both really battered each other up. And Dixie Carter came out, and Earl Hebner was ready to make the 1, 2, 3 count, and she was telling him, "No, you're not doing this," basically, or you lose your job, or whatever she was telling him. And Earl got to the 2 count very, very, very slowly. And as he went to put his hand down for the third, Bully Ray ended up getting out of the pin. But the match went on, and Dixie being at ringside, one had to wonder what was actually going to happen. But all in all, the match turned out the way it probably should have. But I would say this: the main event was great. I really enjoyed AJ Styles and Bully Ray, and we now have a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, AJ Styles, for a second time, and I'm telling you, he definitely deserves it. The man who really carried TNA on his back for so long, and but I would have to say this about this pay-per-view. To me, it was disappointing. And the thing that bothered me the most when I was watching this pay-per-view, it sort of reminded me of the end of WCW, where they didn't really care who was becoming champion. They threw the championship belt on anybody. And there have been rumors about TNA and Dixie Carter wanting to sell after the first of the year, and whether they're true or whether they're false or not, I don't know, but they're not leading us to believe anything otherwise at this point. She was stating that this was going to be her best Bound for Glory ever. Well, Dixie, this is one of your worst Bound for Glories ever, except for the main event. You take that main event away, and this pay-per-view was really disappointing. I think the only thing that really saved or gave this this pay-per-view any kind of credibility was the main event of AJ Styles and Bully Ray. So those are my thoughts, guys. I'm sure a lot of other people thought pretty much the same way. Again, a little disappointed, very disappointed after the last 2 months, and we'll just see what happens Thursday. Have a great Monday, guys. Peace out, and we'll see you soon.